Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without Walls. My name is I'm the CEO of Classroom Without Walls and the host of this weekly live streaming show. You can also listen to us on the audio-only podcast. Just search Classroom Without Walls. On this show, I interview leading social media, digital marketers, content creators, entrepreneurs, business leaders to come here and share with us their best practices so that we can future-proof our businesses. And today I have my friend Chris Bryant on the show to talk about video marketing. This is one of my favorite topics because my business started with video, live streaming, video marketing. So I'm really excited to learn a lot more from Chris and to see how we can all apply video marketing to grow our business, to generate more leads, to get more clients. Chris has been in the space for 15 plus years. He's an award-winning video producer and video marketing expert. He's currently the creative director at Empire Studios. And Chris is also featured in our book that Julia McCoy and I co-wrote. Incredible story. And so we are all in for a treat. We're going to learn a lot more about video marketing, how to get started, different types of video you should produce, best equipment. And Chris actually just gave me some recommendation in terms of camera. So best equipment that you can use and content creation, storytelling, story selling, and all the good stuff. So before we get started, a big shout out to StreamYard for being a sponsor of Classroom Without Walls. Over the last 4 years, I tried quite a few third-party tools to go live. StreamYard is my all-time favorite. In the comment section, there's a link for you to check out StreamYard for free for 2 weeks. And let me know if you have any questions. We are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Periscope, and on Twitch. Let me know in the comment section where you are joining us live from, social media-wise and geographically speaking. Without any further ado, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm all amped up, and this is for everybody at home. Definitely have a notepad ready or Google Sheets open because you're gonna be taking a lot of notes. There's a lot of action-packed stuff coming your way, so I'm excited to give it to you.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. So let's get started. So you started your business in 2005. And I think you are definitely a pioneer in this field. So can you share the backstory that really inspired you to embrace, become a video producer, and to do what you do today?
It started off even way before that. This started in my desire to create through video started in June of 1993 with the release of Jurassic Park. Wow. And I just remember watching that like opening night in the theater and just having my jaw on the floor the entire time. And I realized, and then I became like enamored with like Steven Spielberg and telling, stories through video. But in my head, I was always thinking I have to be Hollywood. I've got to go to Hollywood to do that. And as technology progressed, I realized I can produce these types of things. And, on the Hollywood level, even if you're Steven Spielberg, you still have people to answer to. There's a lot of things that you have to compromise on. But in my case, I have a video production company. I work with a lot of clients that have just seen my work and they trust me. They trust my judgment. So they let me kind of run with it. So I have a lot of creative control and I love it because I love every aspect of it, from script writing and pre-production all the way. I love filming. I love lighting and the audio. I love editing. And then now more recently, I'm helping also with the video distribution as well on YouTube and the different platforms. So really the genesis of it came from wanting to be a filmmaker and then realizing I'm having a great time just, creating smaller scale video production, not necessarily Hollywood. So that's how that came about in a nutshell.
Wow, that's amazing. I think especially nowadays with so many, the pandemic, so many people are doing business online, digital marketing. I think there's a even higher demand for what you do, So like, okay, so I was mistaken on this. I thought you were only in the business for 15 plus years. So clearly we need to add a few more. So after quite a few decades in this space, what are some of your biggest lessons or observations that you have noticed over the course of, 2 decades that you can share something with us?
I mean, a lot of people say like, this is the year of video. The year of video was like 2008. It's been the year of video. It's been like the decade of video. So really it's, you want to jump into it, but don't overcomplicate things. I mean, everything doesn't have to be like a Super Bowl commercial. So if you have a business and you need to create video, don't be thinking, okay, well, I can't mortgage my house for like $100,000 video spot. I mean, you can create phenomenal content with your phone. Really, the most important thing is the story and the message that you're getting across. The production is secondary. It really is. So content is king, and that's something that people always need to keep in mind, and not to overdo the story either, because I've seen what it's called like kitchen sink videos, primarily from companies that, hey, we've never done a video before, so let's talk about us. Let's do some customer testimonials. Let's talk about all of our products. And then it's like an 8.5 minute long monster video where it doesn't really feel like it has a cohesive message. So one of the biggest things is, pace yourself. You want to create video content, probably a lot of it, but not all of it needs to be polished. Specifically nowadays, I think that most people should be doing a lot of video. Like if you're a business, you should be doing a lot of video content. But for every one video that you have polished, and you should have some video content that's very strategic, that's very well done, professionally produced. But for every one of those, you should be doing 10, 15, 20 videos that are not. And I'm talking on your webcam, on your phone. Hey, somebody on the shop floor just had their 30th anniversary here. Film on your phone and interview them real quick or something, and just it feels more authentic that way. And there is a place for produced video, but the majority of content that should be being produced should be done on phones and on webcams or inexpensive point and shoot cameras. Don't get bogged down with the equipment, and certainly don't be intimidated to do some video yourself as well.
Wow, that is so powerful and also almost counterintuitive, right? Because when most people started, oh my God.
Oh.
Thank you so much for using my mug.
Of course.
Yeah, like almost like counterintuitive, because most people, when they started embracing like video, even just like live streaming, the very first question is equipment, like camera. We think, or we were under the impression that we need almost Hollywood level production. But you are saying that we need to produce more unpolished. That is so interesting. That is so interesting.
And you'd think it'd be shooting myself in the foot as a video production company. I'm telling my clients, shoot video on your own. I mean, yes, there are videos that need to be professionally done, but for the most part, pick up your phone. The camera is the thing that people get hooked on as far as I need a really good camera. What you need is proper lighting and proper audio, because this shoots 4K video, which is actually overkill. So don't worry about the camera, worry about the lighting and the audio if you're going to shoot on your own and produce content. But again, even more important than the equipment is the story. And it's also being genuine in front of the camera. So a tip that I would give somebody that is nervous about being in front of I used to be petrified being in front of the camera. Actually, one of the reasons I wanted to pick up a camera. I know. But like one of the reasons I picked up a camera in the first place was because if I'm holding the camera, I am dictating where the camera is pointing. And that means it's not at my face. It means it's at other people. So I hated it. But I got in, I got in front of the camera. I tried it. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I got. So a tip, if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm kind of the face of the company, I should be on video, but I'm really not comfortable. Put the phone on a tripod or on a bookcase or something and record yourself as if you were going to really publish it. Hey, if it comes out perfect, publish it. Awesome. But if it doesn't, you speak about a topic that you already know about, that you're comfortable speaking about, like in my case, video production or video marketing. And I could talk about that for days. So, okay, I'll pick a topic and I'll talk for 5 minutes. And then watch it back and then be critical on yourself on these first few videos, because your first video that you ever produce is going to be terrible. It's not going to be good. But your 5th video will be much better. But your 5th video will be terrible compared to your 100th video. So you're always improving, but you have to start somewhere. So my biggest thing is I'd say record yourself, assume no one's going to see it because no one will. You're in control of that. And just speak about a topic that you know about and watch yourself back. And then over time, do that more and more. It's a little bit of an exercise. Almost like if you're exercising, you got to get the reps in. Same thing with this. Get those reps in privately. So that way when it's beach weather and it's swimsuit weather, you're ready to go.
You are such a great storyteller. I love all the metaphors. I love it. So here's a great question. Actually, that's one of my questions from Abby. Thank you for joining us live. So which videos should be done professionally? So maybe you can also elaborate. So what are the types of videos that we can just kind of produce on our phone? And what are the videos that we should be working with someone like you, make them really, really professional?
Yeah, Abby, awesome question. Very, very common. So especially when people are realizing, a lot of this can be done on phones. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and do everything on phones, especially top of the funnel type stuff. Meaning, I don't know this company at all. Let me learn a little bit more about it. If it was done on a phone, it might give the wrong impression. So I'd say a company overview video, like one of those ubiquitous type video content where it's like, hey, you don't know me. Here's a very high level, like a 2-minute, 2.5-minute tops look at what we do, who we are, what our values are, very high level what we produce. That should be done professionally because that is the first taste potential customers have of you and your brand, your company. So you can make the best widget in the world, but if the video's all shaky and that's really their first impression, they're like, how good are they? How good is that widget? It's almost like if you had a website that looks like it was made on GeoCities in the late 90s. Would I trust that place to, it's like Flash is broken and all these other things. Do I want to trust them with my money? So same thing. If it's the first time that they're seeing you, that particular video should be done professionally. Another one that should be done is like a very specific product video. So that's separate from the About Us video. That's not about your company. Okay, I'm holding up this phone again, but Apple. Okay, the iPhone, 12. There's a video. Well, they're Apple, so they have a bunch of videos, but a video just about the phone, not the case, not the software, not so much about the software, but mainly what makes the phone the best in the market, why you should purchase it. So that should be done polished as well. Examples of videos that shouldn't be polished. In fact,
I interrupt you for a second, if you don't mind. This is really great. I have so many questions. And so like for those professionally produced videos, what if I don't have a physical product, but I do have like a service or like an online program. So do you also recommend doing kind of an overview video about my program, even though it's not a physical product?
Yes. If it's a service-based thing or like software, there's two ways you can do it. One, and I'm always a big fan of it, is interview-based. Like you're someone speaking. Of course, there has to be, and again, if it's professionally produced, the company will know how to do this properly. But you want to intersperse B-roll. So shots of your service or maybe people smiling and using your service. If it's an app, it's, B-roll of that as, the founder or the person who created it is speaking, because by, video, this breaks down walls very quickly. This builds up trust very quickly versus if it was a voiceover artist and you don't know who the people are that created this thing. So having someone speak and talking about the product and its benefits and features interspersed with proper strategic B-roll. Alternatively, especially if it's like a concept that's a little bit harder to grasp, animated explainer videos go a long way as well. And those you don't really want to do yourself. I mean, there is software out there. It's like, hey, for $70 a month, you can make your own. That also means if you're going to make your own video, even though it's using software and that kind of thing, you have to come up with the script and the concept and the pacing and all these other things. So for that, especially if it's like if you're only going to have one video about your product or service, it really should be professionally produced just to get that off on the right foot. So animated videos like that would be done professionally.
Actually, I love watching those animated videos when they're explaining something. Like even my children, they love learning and watching through those videos. I love them. And I so agree, really delegate to the professional to handle the professional aspect of things and make things definitely a lot easier. And so for those professionally produced videos, so we should place them definitely on our website and probably also on LinkedIn, the featured section on YouTube. Other like places that you recommend where we can place those videos for people to understand who we are and what we do?
Yeah, I definitely would do YouTube. I mean, there's Vimeo as well, but Vimeo is like if you're a filmmaker and don't worry about that. YouTube is really where your video should be for a couple reasons. YouTube is owned by Google, the number one search engine. The number two search engine in the world is Bing. I'm just kidding. It's YouTube. So people go on there to learn all kinds of things. So you want to have it on there. It's going to help the rankings in SEO and with Google especially. And of course, embed it onto your website from YouTube because that player works. It's a fantastic player that's going to work probably better than whatever you can have embedded in your website. And also, every time somebody watches it on your website that's embedded, it gets one more view on YouTube. But there's times where you can go on YouTube and Google a search term, and your video may pop up on that first page. Not your website, not a blog post, but maybe that video that you have. So that's a huge place, so YouTube. When you're going to share the video on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, I actually don't recommend sharing the link because YouTube and Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, they prefer native video. So the same way you would upload a photograph to Facebook, you should be uploading the video to Facebook. Yes, it won't give you an extra view on YouTube, but that's not the point. The point is for people to see your video. And Facebook is more likely to serve the video if it's natively uploaded, and it's going to look beautiful. It's going to be nice and big. It's going to autoplay. You will get more views doing it that way versus linking. But any platform, and LinkedIn specifically, is a great one as well. They're really coming leaps and bounds from a true professional social network. And I highly recommend, especially if you have a B2B product or service, definitely upload it to LinkedIn natively and do it often. That's another thing too. Don't just upload it once and forget it. Even if you upload it once on all those platforms, which is great, don't forget about it. YouTube, yes, you would. But for example, like on LinkedIn, definitely on Twitter and on Facebook, you can upload those videos, maybe once every, few months maybe, or if there's a thing coming up or a special with a product, make sure you share that video again. And same thing with like email newsletters. If you have a mailing list, share that video. Those are a couple, quick, free, easy ways to share it.
I love all those tips. And first of all, right before COVID, I actually had an in-person event with students and some mentors at Classroom Without Walls. I actually hired a videographer, and he made a very, very nice video for me. And I can't tell you how much that video has really helped my business and people discover me. So everything you said, I support 100%. And there's no way that I could produce a video like that level. It was like really, you can tell the difference between professional videographer versus like a mediocre person like myself. So I love that. And I also love the tip that you shared that, reshare. Like for me, once I share it once, I feel like, oh, that's old content. So it just like inspired me to reshare some of my videos, especially the videos that were performing really, really well. So thanks for those great tips. Yeah. So how about the authentic, the unpolished videos?
Yeah, those are the ones I want to talk about next. Is they're actually some videos that you shouldn't have professionally done. And those are the ones where, like, let's say you want to create a quick video series once a week. You want to talk to your audience about updates in your specific industry, for example. Perfect example to be doing it in front of with a webcam or on your phone. Just don't be walking down the street and doing it that way. I've seen some people do it. It could give motion sickness. It's not the Blair Witch Project. Don't do that. So, but if you have like your webcam and you have a decent background, I mean, at this point in the pandemic, everybody's got a decent background because they're doing a lot of calls like this. But if you just say, okay, well, I'm going to talk about these 3 points of my industry this week. I'm going to, have it like a 5-minute little show. But that, and if you can do it live, if you have the guts to go live, it's even better because especially if you can interact with the people in the comments, it creates that connection like you wouldn't believe. But by doing that yourself, it shows that you're authentic. Especially nowadays, it's never been more accepted to have something done amateur, with not professional lighting. The audio is okay. The background, you obviously shot this yourself. It's never been more acceptable to do that as it is now. So those kinds of things. If you want to do like a quick update, what's going on in your facility, or with your company, or you have an update, with your company that you want to talk about. Hey, we're releasing this new product, or even like something super quick. Oh my God, I'm going to hold my phone again. But that just shows how often you could be shooting on this. Let's say you have a physical product, right? And the UPS just delivered like a pallet of this stuff. Grab the camera, put it on video mode, and film what just happened. Hey, we just got this delivery. I'm cutting it open, or have somebody film you opening up the box and saying, oh my God, we just got version 2.0 in. It's so great. That can be shot on a phone vertically. And that's perfectly acceptable.
That's right. I love watching those unboxing videos, almost as if I were the person opening those boxes.
Yeah.
And it's such a great way to like humanize who you are, humanize the brand. And especially nowadays, there's so much fakeness out there, right? Fake identity, everything's fake, fake, fake. There's so much fakeness. And I feel like when you embrace the video, especially for like company leaders, like the CEOs, like senior position people, if they can really embrace video, I think that really helps humanize the entire company a lot, like almost to a new level. Do you agree? Do you
Absolutely.
see that?
100%. And actually, that brings up another good point. I just thought of it when you were saying that. As far as being authentic, really be authentic and embrace it. So be yourself. So don't watch a bunch of videos in your space. You're like, I really like how they did that. I like how he did that. I like how she said this. And, and try to emulate that person, because you're not that person. You can use them as inspiration and just say, okay, that's a good place I'd like to be, but be yourself. Like, for example, like going back to the example of industry updates. If someone else in your space gave a similar update, and, let's say you have three topics, and somebody covered 2 of those 3 topics in another video, but you have your own take on it. And even if the take is the same, you're a different person. Your personality is going to come across differently. Your energy is different. So even though that person, let's say they did verbatim, let's say somehow you had the same exact script to the word that person had, you will give a different reading of that. You're going to give it off to the audience differently. But just embrace who you are. And that goes back to filming yourself and getting comfortable in front of the camera, because I'm like this. I've got a lot of energy naturally, but my first couple of videos, I was very subdued. I was like nervous. I wasn't really digging the camera. I love people. I like making eye contact. Right now I'm looking at a bunch of glass at a camera. So it's getting over that and realizing that on the other end of that glass are a bunch of smiling faces watching this thing. So it's getting comfortable in front of the camera, and it's just being authentic to who you are. Don't try to be somebody else, because there's nobody else like you, and you don't know who is connecting with you because of your personality.
Yeah, that is so true. That's why, and also sometimes you can tell that a group of people, they took the same online class, they follow the same format from the same group, and just like you really lose that originality, like personality just feels like so repetitive. I can't agree more with you. So how long did it take you to overcome that, like uncomfortable feeling in front of the camera? What is your learning curve, so to speak, being more comfortable?
I'd say my learning curve, and everybody's is different. Some people could be 5 minutes, some people could be 5 years. I personally was maybe about 6 months, maybe a little bit less. I took part in like a Veda challenge, vlog every day in April. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it as a challenge for me to get in front of the camera. And also I want to see if I can produce a piece of content every single day for 30 days straight. I wasn't able to do it every day. I think out of 30 days, I think I probably did it 22, 23 days. But it got me in front of the camera. It started my YouTube channel, which ended up leading to a bunch of great things. And it just forced me to get in front of the camera and talk and do different things. And it was kind of like trial by fire. I just threw myself in the deep end, and it worked out pretty well. But yeah, my learning curve was probably 5 to 6 months before I genuinely got comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah. And for me, you mentioned live video, because I'm the type of person, if I were to do pre-recorded videos, I would never be happy, because every pre-recorded video is like, it's not good enough. But like forcing myself to go live, like I can't stop this live, I re-live, go live again. So I love this way as well. Just give yourself a big challenge, put yourself out there somehow. That can really force you to make this like a habit, build that momentum. I love it. So you actually shared in you are featuring our book, you shared on the website that you are using video, you mentioned that earlier, YouTube has brought you lots of opportunities. So I want to ask you, how has embracing video marketing, video really benefited your own business and personal brand? Like, if you can share some stories with us, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, as a video production company, it's funny. It's one of those like the shoemaker's kids have no shoes. Like, I'm so busy producing video for other people that I don't produce it, but when I do, it works. Like, it's ironically, I'm so busy creating content for others, I can't create content on my own. So, but for example, one thing I try to do every year is create a highlight reel. So, hey, it's, upbeat music, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the most, of all the things that have been happening in the past year, all the shoots I've been on, the epic drone footage in the, mountains in Utah, in the Rocky Mountains, or whatever it is, and make it peppy and engaging and kind of show the gamut from like sit down interviews to things on the machine floor. And, whenever I upload those, and again, uploading them natively to LinkedIn, uploading natively to Facebook, those kinds of things, I'll get phone calls. One of them I upload, one of the highlight reels I uploaded natively to LinkedIn, and I shared it on there just saying, hey, it's been a great year. Here's a look back at some of the stuff we've been doing. That's it. No calls to action. No call me if you need something. Just here's my video. Have a good day. And within 3 days, I was under contract for a multi-day shoot in Las Vegas. So, which I was, on a plane a month later. But that's just like a very, that's the solid, example from one of them.
That's amazing. So hopefully you can make more time for yourself to produce more of those videos. And that's really, really amazing. I feel like especially this is what I share with my own students, the show me economy. You can tell me how good you are, but I want to see, even the videographer I hired, I want to look at the videos you have produced, makes a huge difference. And I want to go back to the point you mentioned earlier, right? Like recently, a Social Media Examiner just had their big conference talking about social media marketing. And I asked one of my friends who attended the conference, what are the trends? What's the future? And she said, video is the future. So I love how you mentioned, right? Like video is the future. And I was getting prepared for the interview. I actually did some research, and I want to share those numbers with everyone. Just in the United States alone, like video marketing is a 135 billion industry. And just the fact that if we have a video on our landing page, and that can increase our conversion rate by 80%. Incredible. And 90% of customers are actually making purchasing decisions because of videos. And just mention the word video in the email subject line will actually increase the opening rate by almost 20%, like really incredible. So I want to ask you, can you share some stories of your clients where like embracing kind of almost like paint a before and after picture for us, so that the live audience and people who watch the replay can feel, wow, I better start doing this now after they embrace the live video, their businesses or like, phone calls conversion rate have really increased.
Yeah. Okay. So quick story time to hit that exactly. I'm working with a client right now. The video series I produce for them is more for internal sales use. So it's not really stuff that they're publishing out necessarily. I mean, a couple of the videos, but I created a dozen videos for them. They make them, machines that are like the cost of a house. So they're big ticket items. But I created a dozen videos for them, each looking at a specific aspect of the machine. Hey, here are standard features, one video. Hey, here's how you control the machine, high level look at the controls, one video. All these different things looking at specific spots. And the idea, so when a sales team is sitting in front of a customer and they have a concern about, oh, well, I don't know about the slides and the construction, or, my last machine, it kind of broke. Hey, we have a video talking just about that, and they can show it to them. So it's one thing to say it, but it's different to show it. So recently that just went live, and they sent out a newsletter to, their mailing list. And I got a call from the president of the company, who I've been working with very closely on this. A few days later, he said, Chris, you wouldn't believe this. And I'm like, I have a feeling I'll believe this, because I worked with him on the distribution for it. And I told him, put the word video in the subject line, like you were saying. Yep. Put video in the subject line, because that's a big one. And then have a nice, big, beautiful, I also create custom thumbnails for the customers as well, so it looks nice. So he said our open rate was much higher and our click-through rate was tremendous. And we already have 3 potential leads from that email campaign. And when you're selling something that is the cost of a house, that's pretty good. So even if one of those closes, that's tremendous ROI. It's tremendous. And that's just one video with one email marketing. That was not put anywhere else. But again, just by putting video in the subject line, he was shocked by the open rate. And then once they opened it, sure enough, there was a beautiful thumbnail looking right at him with a little play button on it. And a lot of people clicked on it. It was like an exponential increase on the click-through rate. So yeah, and he was thrilled with it.
That's amazing. And especially when you're talking about machine, like most people, at least I feel like that's kind of really boring. And how you can make this like not exciting subject, like really exciting. People want to watch it and click it and check it out. I think that is amazing. That's amazing. I'm definitely sold. So if someone is interested in embracing this, what are the steps? So I'm going to share this in the comment section. So about 4 years ago, you wrote a very nice article like teaching people, if you want to get started to embrace video marketing, those are the steps, what you need to do. So I want to ask you the same question 4 years later in 2021, like, how do we even get started? This sounds amazing. Everything you share is like, wow, I want to double my leads, opening rate, all those things. So how do I even get started?
So yeah, things have definitely changed since I wrote that article. Mainly the fact that unpolished video in some situations is superior to polished video. You don't want everything to be super polished. But the very first thing I'd say if you want to get into it is to attend YouTube University and start Googling anything that you're not sure on. How to create video, or how to, if you only have like a webcam, you don't even have a camera properly, how to film good video on my webcam, or how to film great, smart. There is 1,000,001 videos on getting good video out of your smartphone. One of them being get a little tripod. I mean, for under $100, you can get decent audio, a good little tripod, basic lighting. So I'd say do a lot of research on there. There's no need to necessarily take a big expensive course, at least not at first, just learn the basics. And then you want to have two kind of routes. You want to understand how to create video on your own and which things you should create on your own. And then you should also have a video production company that you know and you trust that fits with your budget, and not only your budget, but also make sure you look at their work. If you're like, oh my God, this place can do it for $200, make sure you look at their demo reel and their complete work and say, I'm okay, I'm happy showcasing my company or brand with that quality of video. So just keep that in mind too, because don't think of video production professionally as an expense. Think of it as an investment, and be strategic with it. I mean, nobody has an infinite budget for video unless you're Apple. So not every video should be professionally produced. So just know the difference between when it should be professional and when you can do it on your own. And then there's just tons and tons of resources online, both YouTube videos as well as Facebook groups. You can just join, and people are always talking. If you have a question, you can ask on a lot of these groups, and they'll, most of the time people will be more than happy to give you pages of answers. So that's
definitely. I love the term YouTube University. That's really powerful. Yeah, I myself have definitely watched a few videos about live streaming before I got started. So can you give us some recommendations in terms of equipment, like for kind of beginners and more like advanced people, so that we have some idea?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So let's go like, crawl, walk, run, right? So crawl, I'd say whatever camera you have is the best camera, whether it's a 4-year-old point and shoot, whether it's your phone, which almost everybody has a smartphone now that can record good video, or if it's your webcam. But then just making sure that can work for you. Again, that goes back to looking at YouTube videos. Google your specific situation. Okay, webcam, and even just watch people's videos that have been shot on webcam to get an idea. Oh, I love, if you're on a call like one of these, and it's like, oh, she got plants in the background. That's such a good idea. It adds like some color and some life. I love it. Let me pick up one of those room dividers. That's beautiful. So take inspiration from a bunch of different people and implement that on your own. And lighting is very important as well. I don't know, you may have noticed a minute ago, the light went on. I turned it on with my Alexa.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Never mind. I just said her name, and now she's asking if I want a pizza or something. So just use what you have. If you're at the crawl stage, if you just, whatever you have at your disposal, use that. because it will work, whether it's lighting that you have currently. If you have no lights, let's just say, I have a window right here, which is producing some nice lighting on my face, obviously depending on the time of day. You can rearrange the lamps in your house to, have it so it illuminates you properly. So use what you have for basic. The next step up, if you're going to get a little bit more serious with it, would be maybe like a point and shoot. I wouldn't say mirrorless because those things start at like $1,000 plus just for the body. So if you're going to start either that, or even if you get like a high def or 4K camcorder, that is another nice step up. You can plug in microphones a little bit more easy into that. You don't have to worry about somebody calling you and then messing up your video, for example. So maybe like a camcorder, and you can pick one of those up for $200-$300. You can get a pretty decent one. And then as far as lighting, if you go on a B&H, I love B&H, bhphoto.com, or just Google B&H. That's where I get the majority of my video gear from. If you check out lighting, you can get a really inexpensive 3-point lighting kit, and it's like one you'd see like behind the scenes for like a YouTuber, right? It's got the decent lighting, and it's got like the big diffusion on it. It comes with light stands, it even comes with a carrying case, and they go for like $200-$300. So that is a solid investment. And then a microphone is the next thing. So if you're going to step up a little bit, they have wired, what's called lavalier microphones. So they'll clip to your lapel here or on your shirt, and the wire will run down to your camera and plug in. A step up in price is wireless. So you have it, and it goes to a little body pack transmitter, and then the receiver is on your camera, and it plugs into the mic jack. And it makes it easy to do. For example, if you have a camcorder now, make sure that you search for camcorders that have a microphone in jack. So a lot of these places, you can just sort by different things. Make sure it has a mic in jack. And now the higher end, you might want to look at a mirrorless camera. I mean, what I have over here is probably overkill. That's like a full frame cinema camera. But if you're going to be doing stuff in-house, that's good for like long form stuff. If you're going to be filming a conference and you want the camera to run for 3 hours without, skipping a beat, something like that is good. But if you're doing, smaller stuff like, smaller shots and, what I'm using actually this webcam right now is a Sony a7S Mark II, which has been discontinued. So the a7S Mark III is a very solid mirrorless camera, but it does come at a price. That one is like $3,500 just for the body. Now, again, think of it as an investment, not as an expense. As long as you're going to actually leverage these tools to create content that's in turn going to create revenue, it's money very well spent. So at that level, if you spend probably $5,000 between the camera body, the lens, please pick up extra batteries, memory cards, some lighting, audio, maybe about $5,000. So for the price of maybe hiring a videographer for one shoot, now you have enough equipment to work on your own, especially if you have like video crew, if you're thinking about hiring somebody internally or taking care of things like that. It might be a very worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If you are hiring a team, that's definitely a great investment. Like if you are speaking at lots of conferences, things like that, great investment. So I want to share my screen for a second. I want to make sure that I got the website correct. And so is it this one that is this the place?
If you scroll up just a little bit. Yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah.
Great. I'm definitely going to check out some, because I want to really improve my lighting. I noticed that, I don't know if this is a trend. Some of them are really like affordable, right? Not that bad at all.
Yeah. Let's see.
Which one is the lighting that you recommended, Chris? The
You know what? I'm going to find it real quick, and I will put it into the comment section. How's that?
Yeah, or you can private chat with me so I can share. Yeah. Because I definitely I agree. Like lighting can make such a huge difference, and I noticed that nowadays on YouTube people are having this type of like purple color-ish background thing. I don't know if that's the new trend. Have you noticed that? It's like kind of purple-ish, like electronic lighting or something.
I haven't noticed it yet. Ironically, I don't watch a ton of creator or influencer type content. Now I'm going to be on the lookout for it now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like one day I just noticed like, wow, all of a sudden everyone is having this like purple-ish background to shoot their videos, which is really, really interesting. Yeah. So once you find the link, share with me, and then I'm going to share in the comment section. I feel like for most people, either the beginners level or the middle level that you mentioned, like for me, my business is now to really sell like high quality videos. And for the high quality video, I hire someone like you to do it. But for me to promote my own business, like what I have, the middle layer that you mentioned is good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah.
I think another point, I think that's a common mistake, right? People wanting to make sure they have the best equipment, but they miss the core part, which is the story, which you spend so much time, blog articles, you talked about it. So I want to spend some time talking about stories and why this is so important. And you are such a great storyteller. I watch quite a few of your videos. Even for something like machine, you can make it look so interesting. I don't know how you do it. So what are the essential elements of a good story, especially from the creator's perspective? So give us that perspective. Like how can we make, besides the equipment, but how can we ensure that we're telling a compelling, captivating story so that people actually want to watch the video?
I mean, the biggest thing is putting yourself in the viewer's shoes. So what would I want to see? What feelings would I want to get from this? I mean, the best stories, it pulls in your heartstrings a little bit. There's some emotion involved, even if it's not like, sadness or, nostalgia, but maybe, I had that same problem with my camera bag. Oh my God, this solves it completely. So a little bit of that, and think about, everybody wants to have a decent resolution to it as well. So if you're going to be telling a story, what's the challenge? And certainly it's okay to show your shortcomings in a video, as long as, depending on the video type, of course. But what's the resolution to it? And being mindful of your audience and being mindful of the platform as well that it's going to be consumed on. So for example, if I was going to make a series of videos and I wanted one video to only live on LinkedIn for X or Y reason, I would write that in a way, and I'd create that story and craft in such a way that it appeals to the most people on that particular platform. Wow. Because the people that are on LinkedIn aren't thinking like the people that are scrolling through Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook. It's typically a more professional crew on there. So that would be the angle I'd be going for. If I want to have something a little bit more laid back, maybe that's something for a different platform. But really, it's identifying with your audience. What are their pain points, or what's their mentality, I guess, going into it, or whatever it is that your video is talking about. So that's why buyer personas are so important. If anybody here hasn't gone to the HubSpot Academy and taken some of those courses where they talk about buyer personas, get to know those. That's a whole other topic I could talk for days on that as well, but get to know your audience and write for them and keep them in mind as well. And don't be too salesy. The best marketing today doesn't feel like marketing. People want to be educated and or entertained. So if you can do one of those two things, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, like telling a story, educating people, and edutainment, right? Story selling, edutainment. I love it. I love it. I think that is also a common mistake that many content creators we make, because, or business owners, we're creating content that we feel like really passionate about, that we forget about our audience. And so what you are saying is that we really have to put ourselves into the audience shoes. So how do you best discover what they're thinking? Do you do pre-interviews, really talk to them, surveys to really understand their languages before you start like recording, shooting a video?
Yeah, talking to them and just asking direct questions works. I mean, for me, I'd be speaking to my clients, so corporations and brands. So in this case, if you're watching and are at a corporation or a brand and you're in charge of video, a question I always ask, and something that you should ask yourself as well as your team, what problems are you facing? What keeps you up at night? Because sometimes people come to me and say, hey, I want a company overview video. I say, okay, great. Maybe you do need it, but let's chat a little bit and figure out what the needs are. And then after talking, it might be like, we don't need a company overview video. Maybe we actually need to tell the story about this product that we launched last year that didn't really get a lot of traction, and people are a little bit confused by how to use it. So maybe that's the story we need to be telling, and that's what we need to be focusing on. And as far as it's all about listening and asking direct questions to your target customers.
So powerful. It also shows how much work actually goes behind the production stage, right? Like it's not just about like shoot the video itself, but actually the research, the planning, the scripting, the hours of work that people put into this entire process before like the real process of shooting. So I love it. I love it. It is definitely an art and a science combined for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we only have a few minutes left. I really want to shift our focus to talk a little bit more about education. And as I mentioned earlier, your story is featured in our book, Skip the Degree, Save the Tuition. And there are so many reasons. Yes. So there are so many reasons I love your story, besides the fact that you are such an amazing videographer, video marketing expert. You started your business in 2005, and over the last like 15 plus years, you have grown it into a multiple six-figure business, which is really impressive. But the funny part is that you didn't really go to college, or did you actually go to college to study this, but as a college dropout? So can you share with us how has your kind of educational journey or formal education really contributed to or hindered your success? So share some insights with us.
Yeah, so I did start college. I went to Western Connecticut State University. I was a media arts major. I was there for maybe 3 semesters. I took some of the classes you're supposed to take, like philosophy and math and things like that. But thankfully, before I left, I did take a handful of video production classes, and I loved it. I really did. But there's so much of the other things you have to be doing. For a field like I'm doing, like filmmaking and video production, a lot of it is just getting out there and doing it. So I ended up dropping out, and right around the same time, I started my business, Bryant Productions back then, and it was like a side hustle. And then no marketing, and just kind of got bigger and bigger. But as far as education, how that plays in, for me, it was a lot of just real world, like the school of hard knocks, learning how things work, and just getting out there and doing and trying and seeing what works and what doesn't, and stop doing things that don't work and do a lot more of the things that are working. And a lot of trial and error, mainly on the business aspect of it, because the video stuff came pretty easy to me. And as I got more, funding in, because it was a side hustle for a long time, every penny that came in from the business went right back into it. So business cards or website or new gear or new lights or all these toys. So eventually it got to the point where I couldn't go anymore with the part-time. I had to bring it full-time. But during that time, I would have gotten there a lot faster if I was a little bit better at the business aspect. And I don't think, would college have helped with that? Yes. But in this day and age, I think if I knew what I was looking for on YouTube, honestly, I could have learned it. And a lot of it too is just learning by doing, and seeing what didn't work. And if I got burned on something, like, okay, well, now I need a contract because this happened. So now I got to make sure that things are, so there's all those reasons to research things on YouTube. And there's also actually, whenever I needed something too, either it's YouTube or there's a nonprofit government thing is called SCORE. I don't know what it stands for. But
I actually saw it on your website, on one of your blog articles, but I never heard of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you're just starting a business or a side hustle or whatever, it is a free resource, and they'll help you. Like, hey, I have no idea where to start. Well, you got to do this, and how do you want to form? You should probably get an EIN, and here's how you do it. They won't do it for you, but they will answer any question you have on almost anything, and put you in the right direction, because the people that are volunteering at SCORE are like current or retired, like CEOs and executives and people. So you'll fill out the form on SCORE, and then the people behind the scenes will go, okay, well, he has a question on this and this. We should pair him with this volunteer who has that experience. So that was a huge resource for me as well. So that's a A+ type thing I'd recommend.
Is this
there you go.
The place? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Definitely,
so highly recommend. And even if you already have a business, like let's say you're a sole proprietorship, you're kind of like you're a jack of all trades doing things, it's still not a bad idea to have this URL saved on your bookmarks. So if something happens, or if you're growing, you're like, okay, well, I got to get employees now. What's the next step? What is the first thing I want? I don't want to miss something. Reach out to SCORE, and I can't speak more highly of that program.
That's amazing. I love how they have this, like, find a mentor. It's probably someone who is in the field practicing this, so you can learn from those people. Oh, I love it. Definitely going to check it out. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. I know you mentioned in one of your blog articles back then when you were starting out, YouTube was not there, right? Right.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
now
think, yeah.
we have so much information. Yeah, yeah. Were you scared when you kind of dropped out of college and started your own thing at such a young age? Were you scared at all or not at all?
I was, because especially back then, and even today, there is still a stigma of being a dropout and not finishing your college degree. And for years, I grappled with it. Even though I was successful and I was doing well, it was still that, social stigma, especially here in the U.S. Like, I don't have a college degree. Yes, I'm successful doing it on my own. I can have workations anywhere I want because, I'm self-employed and that's how I structure my life. But I don't have a college degree. So when I was dropping out, it started off the way a lot of people drop out, where I'm saying, I'm going to take a break for a semester. And I'm still on break. Haven't gone back. So it was less scary because I really thought I was going to go back. And then, I saw, because I was I was making enough that I didn't really qualify for a whole lot of financial aid. So I was paying everything out of pocket. And I realized, wow, I'm saving a lot of money by not going to college. And then I put some of that money that I was saving back into equipment and things like that. So it was nerve-wracking at first, but this is, I dropped out 04, 05, and it was a different time back then. And hopefully something like your book can help erase whatever stigma is left, because really there shouldn't be a stigma. I mean, college is just not for everybody.
100%. I so agree with you. And that's why, we love your story so much. We have featured so many people who are high school dropouts, college dropouts. They're all having a very successful, amazing, happy, fulfilling lives. So what advice would you love to share with young people, people who are watching this and they wanted to do what you do? There are like so many young people nowadays, TikTok, YouTube, they grow, like even my own kid, like my 9 years old has his own YouTube channel. And so for young children, young people out there, if they want to do what you do, develop the skills and eventually monetizing their skills. So what recommendations do you have for them?
There's two big ones. One is pick up a camera and start filming. Even if it's just you and your friends messing around, get the practice in. Every video you make, you're going to learn something new that's going to improve the next one. And the second one, and this is true for adults and everybody else too, don't get caught up in the gear. It's so easy to be seeing like a behind the scenes photo and somebody's got this big, beautiful cinema camera, like a red camera, and filming something amazing and a big set and lights, or even a YouTuber, and you're seeing all the lights that they have and, a $3,000 camera. You don't need that. You just need the story. So don't get caught up in the gear and use what you have to create as much as you can, as often as you can. And if you're underage, make sure you get your parents' permission before you upload to the internet.
I love that. But I love what you mentioned, because oftentimes, before COVID, we as a family also traveled a lot. And I frequently saw those videographers, they have huge equipment. When I was looking at them, it is very intimidating. If you are not a tech person, it was like, oh my God, do I have to have that in order to do this? So thank you for demystifying that. We don't need to have this in order to do what you do. So that is very, very encouraging to hear. So thank you for sharing. Do you feel like people should be going to college to learn the skills, or what's your take on this?
For filmmaking specifically, or for filmmaking specifically, I think it's a mixed bag. I think for the most part, you don't need it. I think there are a small handful of programs that can be very good. For example, New York Film Academy is because you're not going to go and learn philosophy and mathematics. You're going to learn, film for real. But even more important, I think even more important than the skills that you learn as far as aperture and how the light is set is the networking. So alternatively, I know a lot of people that said, okay, well, it's going to cost me 80 grand to go, or I can spend half of that and really equip myself with a lot of equipment and just get out there and start making projects and working with people. So if you put your head to the ground and, save up, and the money that you would have spent on college, spend on a base level of equipment. Again, don't go crazy, but then just actually the funding might have to go towards your projects if you want to make a short film or something, and just network like crazy. And be willing to work for very little on independent projects to help with that networking. I think that could go the same distance as a formal college education. Just you have to be willing to hustle.
I love it, especially for such an applied field, right? You really have to do it real life learning. It's great advice. Thanks for sharing, Chris. And kind of wrapping up today's conversation, going back to video marketing. And so what do you see as video is already the future, but what do you see as the future of the future? What do you think is the future of video marketing? What are some trends or things that we must start doing or paying attention to right now? And then also share with us, where can people learn more about you?
So, okay, starting in the here and now, as far as trends and going, closer to the present time, I'd say embracing authentic video that's shot on a phone, that's very, authentic that way. I think that trend is going to continue to accelerate, as it's been it's been very well adopted during the pandemic, and people are expecting to see stuff shot on webcams. I think it's only going to continue to expand far beyond once this thing is just a terrible memory in the past. I think going a little bit further in the future would be things like 360 video and virtual reality, because cameras are coming down in pricing that allows you to do things like that. As well, and then going even further into the future, as far as video, would be like augmented reality, which the tech isn't even really there to. It's almost there in like a prototype stage, but I think augmented reality is going to be incredible. You can get a very small taste of it, kind of, if you go into Google Maps, for example, and you go into Street View, and depending, go to in a downtown, like a city, and look around in Street View on Google Maps, and you can see oh, there's a restaurant here because you see all these icons. But now picture if you had a pair of glasses on and you're watching that live. So it's not just that, but also maybe even video content that can come up. So you're looking at, the side of a building, and then there's a video that plays because you're watching it through the augmented reality. So that's even further down the line. But the here and now, I'd say, is just the authentic stuff that's shot unprofessionally.
Wow, I love that. Great tips of advice. I also love the future you painted for us. Wow, that is exciting. That is so exciting. Yeah. It reminds me of my friend, Kathy Hackel. I don't know if you know her. She's all about future AI, AR, augmented reality. So really, really exciting. Yeah. So share with us, where can people learn more about you and from you?
I'm on Twitter all the time. It's at @Chris Bryant. I'm always there. That's probably the best place to find me. I'm on Instagram as well with the same hashtag. But if you want to find me, you want to chat, if you want to, see some behind the scenes photos or maybe the occasional dog photo, the Twitter is probably the best place to find me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for such incredible. I took lots of notes. I'm sure everyone watching this and check out the replay feel the same way. And thank you for dropping so much value for us. I really appreciate you. And definitely everyone follow Chris on Twitter. You have it here. And also I have been showing his website. Check him out and connect with him on social media. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live from all over the globe. And I hope you enjoy the conversation. So next Wednesday, there's no show, and because I will be doing a speaking gig, so don't miss me too much. I will be back on the following Wednesday. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much again, Chris. And
thank you.
Yeah, see you later. Have a great one, everyone.
Bye.